And we're live. All right. Got to get you trapped under ice. This is really going to be a very special episode. I'm really thrilled. This band I've really been into for a long time. But we'll introduce them in a second. I'm Jack Mangan, rocking the Iron Maiden shirt. Not a coincidence. They're nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame today. But of course, as we say around here, fuck the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm with the Metal Hall of Fame. Also with MetalAsylum.net, which Rich is the founder of, and also the Am I Evil graphic novel, which we also had some exciting news today. We put out a teaser poster, today being February 10th. So that's me. Down to diagonally from me is my cohort.
Rich Catino from Metal Asylum. A little delay there, right? Metal Asylum, the Metal Hall of Fame, and Brave Words, and Sea of Tranquility. And we are joined today by the guys from
Beatallica.
Beatallica. What's up, guys?
How you doing?
Welcome.
Yeah, I drank 1,000 beers. I'm going to start with one.
Nice.
Gin and tonic, Gerg. I'm on 3. So
I'm on my water. So are we joined by the actual people here? Are these the actual people or the stage names? Who are we talking to here?
Yeah, we're just the stand-ins. Like,
okay.
We're gonna go for 50 years and just have people standing in.
Yeah.
This is Pete Best is here. Oh.
Yeah. Guitar, Gerg III. What's happening?
All right.
And Jaymz Lennfield, guitar, lead vocals,
and RobStu on bass.
The Major Rager. Very nice.
Right. Why don't we start with that? Can you tell us about the names? Why the names? Let's start with that.
Well, I mean, really, the names come about as a mashup, like everything else that we do. You know, James Hetfield, John Lennon. You know, as far as Dr. Robert Stu goes,
Doctor.
You know, so we got that going on. Gerg Dry. I mean, you have the longest, you know, kind of most colorful history as far as changing the name. What would you say about that?
Well, everybody else died of his gardening accidents, so I'm the third one. But I shortened it from Gerg Hammondson the third to Gerg III. It's easier to sign.
Gerg Natural Ice.
So you're not Stumpy Joe, right? He was the one who died in the tragic gardening accident, I think, or he actually spontaneously exploded, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Can't keep track of them all. All right. Well, yeah. Thank you, guys. I mean, Rich. I mean, I don't know, and I guess it's a good first question. But I'm gonna continue sharing this around on Facebook and social medias. I'll tell you out there if you're watching. If you have questions, go ahead and drop them in. We'll try and get to them. But yeah, go ahead, Rich. Fire away with the questions.
Well, yeah. What about the other names? That's 2 names, right? We got 2 other members, right? 4 altogether.
Yeah.
Well, we have 1 other member. We have Jimmy Ulnick, who is unavailable tonight. But obviously, Ulrich, Ulnick, Jimmy Nickel, the combination of that as far as drums go.
Right.
So there is a rhyme and a reason to every name that's in here, you know. So
Nice.
Cool.
Oh, you guys.
That's awesome.
yeah.
This is my stage name.
Yeah.
Well, so let's. You guys have some really exciting news. I mean, 2020 has sucked for many people, and 2021 continues to suck. But you guys have some exciting news. So, can you tell us about, a couple of big things that are going on? I mean, obviously, was it Metal Assault Records, right? That's the first big piece of news for you guys. So, tell us a little bit about how that came about, and what that means for the future of Beatallica.
Well, I mean, a little bit of the history on it. I mean, Andrew, who runs Metal Assault, he had been in the media, a while back. I've known Andrew, boy, for about 10 years or something, and he's interviewed the band on a few occasions. And then I know that he got into tour, management and merch and other things besides just being a reporter and a blogger and a magazine guy. And then he ended up starting his own label, which is now Metal Assault Records. And that label is super growing. I mean, they're announcing new signings even after our signing, which is great. So I've known him for a long time. And when you know, we had our relationship with our old label, Oleo Entertainment, and we're still very cool with them. Everything is totally good. I'm going to be hanging with their label pres later on this year. I mean, everything's good. And we had a great, you know, a really good amount of success with them and a good relationship with them. It's not like we don't anymore. It's just at Metal Assault Records when we've kind of thought that this sort of thing might happen with them, and they were expressing interest, them having the background in the genre and doing some tour booking and having success with the media, that was a good fit. Because we know that Andrew completely gets it. So we're looking forward to getting him the next thing to totally get, you know.
Cool. All right, Rich, what do you have a question?
Okay, so this is coming out this year, this album?
Oh,
That's
we all
the
just
plan.
freeze?
What?
Yeah.
Man,
So we'd had time warp just now?
What happened?
I don't know. Somebody disappeared. Maybe it was me. Maybe it was a flashback.
Oh,
Well, actually, so go ahead, Rich. You have a question?
yeah, I was asking, this album you're talking about is coming out this year?
yeah, that's the plan. Shooting for
So
fall.
the last studio album, is
Yeah,
that from
probably.
2013, Abbey Load? That's the last one?
Yes.
So can you tell us about why the gap?
Well, a couple of reasons. Some band member changes. That's one of them. Pandemic would be adding another 16, 17, 18 months onto that. And really just when it comes down to dealing and pleasing licensors, that is obviously a tricky deal. We've been ready to put out stuff before now, hoping that licensors would say yes. If licensors don't say yes, then you have to try and figure out how to put out a record when it comes down to this band, you know. So there's been hurdles. There's been a lot of them over the last year, really. But we think we have it straight. The last thing we want to do is piss off any licensor or piss off any owner and infringe on copyright and do all those other things. We're confident that we're not. So thus an album is coming out, you know. I mean, what else do you have to say about that, Gerg? I mean, you've been dealing with this a long time too, you know.
Yeah, well, without like naming names, One Camp, the band is owned by so many different people and has so many different people have their fingers in the publishing pie of the one band. The other band is totally cool with whatever we do because they just love it. So there's no issues there. So it's just a complicated thing. The label that we were on, Oleo, did exercise their right to do the next album, you know, the final album, which was great. So we went a little bit above the contract. So, and then he's the guy who owns Oleo is kind of chilling out on the whole day-to-day stuff of running a label. So we're just in the tail end of that stuff. And like James said, just getting new members, breaking new members in, whatnot. And yeah, and then this popped up, so it's perfect. In addition to that, too, we signed with ACA here regionally for booking agency as well, so that's awesome. In preparation for shows to start up again, whenever the hell that is. So yeah.
Which about an hour before this, I just fielded a message from them, guys. Just so you know, I haven't even had a chance to tell you. So
nice.
It's coming.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Oh yeah.
You guys can have a band meeting here if you want. Well,
yeah, I know. Right
Brown M&Ms.
Is it the biggest issue the song titles, the lyrics, or your artwork, or is it a combination of all three?
It's not song titles. I mean, you can't copyright a song title. I mean, how many bands out there have a song called "I Love You"? You know,
Right.
Look it up. You know, so song titles are fine. Artwork, you have audio compared to video compared to art. I mean, all these are different sorts of licenses and how they function.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes down to the lyrical content and it comes down to musical content / interpretation / what's the difference between parody and satire?
Mhm.
Those are great areas, you know. I mean, and people can get up in arms about protecting their own stuff. And now, I personally don't take offense to it.
Mm.
The way I look at it, it's like, okay, let's say someone owns a house. You have a neighbor. You're kind of knowing the neighbor a little bit. He's, you know, he doesn't piss in your yard or anything like that, but he comes over and he says, okay, I want to borrow a cup of sugar. You're like, okay, I can give you a cup of sugar. Well, if he comes over the next day and says, I want to borrow your house, that's different. You know,
Right.
We're asking licensors to borrow their house.
Mm.
I understand why licensors don't want us to borrow their house. Okay. Some do, some don't. Some have been cooler than others.
Mm.
And the thing too, it's like there's, like I was saying, on the one side, there's so many players involved that any one of them can raise a red flag that has to be negotiated through as well. So some are just right out, nope, you can't use this song or this image or whatever. And others are silent, and then until we put something out, and then they're like, hey, what the hell? And then you just deal with it, you know. So I mean, that's the crazy, weird thing that this band also created, you know, is this gray area of, it's like, we're not Weird Al. It's not fair. Like, if I'm talking by the court of law, like publishing law and whatnot, copyright law. We're not a parody band. You know, we create original music that with stuff that smells like the two bands. So, I mean, but in some cases, we'll do a straight cover and just like metal it up or something, you know. So it's just, it's complicated on our end for that stuff, you know. But and that's also, I mean, for us, we're like, well, here's the deal. If you guys want to get on board with us, have your lawyers deal with it, and we're just going to be a band. And that's the thing that Olio and also, you know, Metal Assault are doing. So it's great, you know. So, and we're
the last thing that we want to do is drag anyone through the ringer on anything. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the intent, let alone ourselves. You know.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we respect both camps and everybody. Obviously, I mean, we're all musicians, have other stuff going on as well. So we're all, you know, we all get the game in the business, you know. So, but that's one thing with this band. It's, you know, it can be a headache at times. It's like, well, why can't we fucking release this when they let us release this? You know, it's like, So, but that's just part of it, you know. And it's quite an education, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I bet.
Publishing and copyright, you know, we could start our own business, Beatallica. You know, consultation.org. You know,
let Beatallica represent you. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, also, Metallica have done.
We've been through it, man, and still going through it. It's shit that most bands don't ever go through. You know, so.
Part of the cool thing about it is the relationship, not only that we have with Metallica as a band and individual members, but their management of, you know, Q Prime, and the relationships that we have, you know, working with trademark and images and things like that. They've all been really sweet, you know, and they've been very responsive to us, and nothing has ever really been, you know, super weird or troublesome or anything like that. They've been more than generous and easy to deal with, you know. So we want to keep it that way.
Very cool. You know, we probably should have done from the get-go, because if anyone's watching for 16 minutes who doesn't know you guys, they're probably like, what the fuck is happening? So let's explain, maybe take a minute and tell everyone what Beatallica is all about. I know you guys have probably said this 1,000 times, so I'll ask you, if you don't mind, retread the Beatallica origin story a little bit.
I'm going to interject here real quick. Yeah. I'm just going to test this. So a fan did a mini documentary of us that we don't know this guy, and it.
Talking about Mike King.
What's that?
You're talking about Mike King from.
Is that his name? Yeah, I know.
Ruling Note, because I just talked to him.
I'm just wondering for the people out there, it's Google Beatallica documentary. I think if you just Google that.
The story of Beatallica.
Yeah, story of Beatallica. It's on YouTube. It's like a half hour long or something. It's like. It looks like it's, you know, done totally professionally. The guy's great. So, but anyway, for the sake of that, go check that out. That'll be the full story up till now. But in the meantime, James.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's Mike King.
Synopsis.
He has this thing called Ruling Note. So if you looked up Mike King on Facebook or Ruling Note, you would find him. I literally just talked to him yesterday, so it's funny you mentioned that. But yeah, I mean, what's Beatallica? It's a mashup band with some comedy, some seriousness. I can tell you that every one of us can certainly play. I mean, we're not hacking our way through it. That's really not the idea. But it's meant to make a person think about how compositions are able to be changed and composed and modified and morphed, especially in this day and age when it's like, you know, the American public, you know, it's like, you want something different now. You want something different now. You know, nothing shocking anymore. You know, this band is perfect for things like that. I mean, Rob, what would you say? I mean, you know, as far as when people approach you, I've never heard you answer this question. What is Beatallica? What would you say?
I usually say it like you would say it. It's, you know, it's a bit of comedy. You know, we're not sometimes serious, you know, sometimes we're totally not serious. It's a mashup band. You know, we take those elements of Metallica, but it's not dead on Metallica. You know, we do Beatles style. You know, again, it's not dead on Beatles, or else, you know, we're going to have George Harrison come after us. That's kind of how I put it. It gets a little slippery, but it's fun, you know, and I like it. And usually people trust my word, so I should check this out.
You're the elder statesman. That's why we have to.
The elder statesman, you know, for the sake of just factual stuff. The band
I
was
think
formed
that
20 years ago. Well, now I'm not the elder statesman. That's right. Rob is now. Woo-hoo.
I am. Yeah.
Anyways, it was formed 20 years ago, right? 2000, or was it 99?
Says 2001 was the Garage Days Night EP, so that's your first official release.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. So it would have been April Fool's Day 2001.
2001. Okay.
So now Beatallica didn't play a gig that night. It was myself and our former guitar player that created 7 mashup songs. And it didn't even have a name. It wasn't called Beatallica. It was done for this weird festival that we do called Spoof Fest here in Milwaukee. And it was on April Fool's Day. We said, okay, well, what would the Beatles do as a spoof, and what would Metallica do as a spoof and a prank on April Fool's Day? So me and him, we made these 7 songs. Thought nothing of it. We just passed them out, 50 burned copies of that. That was the release amount, 50. I have 1. You know, and they got passed out. We didn't name the band. We didn't mean for it to be the band. Or a band. You know, so slowly as the internet caught up to it, you're talking years now. You know, I mean, you're talking until 2005 now that we became a band. And we only became a band then just in case we started getting an inquiry to do a show maybe once in a while.
And what's one thing that's interesting to me, it's hilarious. You know, I wasn't in the band at that time, but I'm friends with these guys and I saw all that stuff. But it was a fan who put it on his website and then named the band so he could have some kind of tag on it. So this guy's like, when he finally met up with us, he's like, hey guys, just want to tell you, I put your stuff online and I named you Beatallica and you're getting sued by Sony. $80 million. It's like, hi, how you doing? It wasn't us that named it. It was never meant to be a band touring. It was never meant. It's create, like I've heard you say, James, the internet created us.
Yes.
That's simply because there was so much demand. What the fuck is this? Smash, this is great. We want to hear more. Then the guy contacted us, and it's like, by the way, I named you Beatallica. So, you're like, okay, great. That eliminates, looking for a band name or whatever.
Or the confusion. That just clarifies what you are.
Yeah. And it's perfect. It's like you can argue with that. It's like, well,
he said he named it Beatallica because it sounded better than being called the Beatles.
Yeah.
So
The Metallicals. Yeah.
well,
that's awesome. I kind of like the Beatles.
Meatles. Meet the Beatles.
I'm a
Beat
mentor.
the Beatles.
Maybe it's reminding me of the Mentors.
Nice.
That's our side band.
You don't want to be in the Mentors.
The Beatles. Mentors, Beatles, mashup. That's anybody out there.
Ooh.
No, I know yeah, I remember the Mentors. Yeah. I have some friends out there, if you're watching, they're going like, holy shit, Mentors.
Yeah.
All right, Rich, I got a million questions, but I know you got some too. Go ahead and fire away if you got one.
So if you've been around 20 years now, when you tour, where do you have to go? Do you go all around the world? What's your touring circuit usually like?
well, before we hopped online here live, I mean, we were talking about the last time that we went out, we did pretty much all in North America. Us being
locally,
Milwaukee, us being based out of Milwaukee, we have better cities that we like in the U.S. But I mean, we've been to Europe. How many times now, Gerg? Like 14, 15 something times or something like that.
COVID shut down a Canadian tour. We had a Moscow date fall through. You guys played South Korea, or right?
Yeah, we saw South Korea for one of their festivals. Yeah, that was great.
Some Brazil things have fun. Japan. We've had a bunch of stuff get set up, and then for whatever reason, the tours have been postponed, and then COVID hit, obviously. So
Sure.
So wherever anybody wants us, we'll go.
So the band, it's really taking you around the world, pretty much.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
So would you guys consider doing an online concert? Sorry, Rich, I think I just stole your question, right? But is
No,
that
that's
something
all
you
right.
guys...
I wasn't going to follow up with that. Go ahead.
Yeah, which we did at ACA's place in the summer. Did one, but there's talk of when there's a guy in town who's produced a bunch of metal stuff, Jenna Torturers and Electric Hellfire Club, and he's got a place called The Ring, and he's doing live streaming. He set up his whole studio at just strictly for live concert type streaming. Yeah. So we're discussing with him some dates coming up, and all that stuff we'll announce obviously when that's solidified. So
pretty much live recording as well. We can do it all on the spot at that place.
Yep.
Nice.
If our performances are good enough, then we can probably roll with something.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got a good setup.
Print and ship it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely taken us all around the world, and will continue to be. It seems like it. I mean, we just answer the phone basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that Metal Assault, as far as a record label, I mean, they just solidified their relationship for European distro too. So that also helps. I know that there's a demand for it overseas, so we would love to get on back,
I guess at this point we interject and say, hey, to the tribute band of ours in Brazil. There's actually a Beatallica tribute band.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I saw a dude on Instagram last night. He was following Beatallica, so I checked them out to see if I'm going to follow him back, and he does, he's playing like all his clips. So you can see he's playing guitar, and he's playing guitar, and he's playing guitar. So you click on one, he's playing this song. You click on one, he's playing this song. I click on one, he's playing an old MP3 by Metallica or by Beatallica called "No Remorse for Reply." It's off of the original set of MP3s, and he's posting it on Instagram 2 days ago to all his buddies. And I'm like, yes, thank you, man.
So you're going to sue him, right? You're going to sue him.
Yeah.
The pants off. Yeah, of course.
$100 million. We'll settle out for one.
Yeah. But I think to this date, there have been 3 Beatallica cover bands.
That's awesome.
Bizarre.
One in Asia, one in Eastern Europe, and one in South America.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Well, you know, it's
Yeah, I was just thinking that'd be a great story.
Fucking
like a Beatallica
Estonia,
fest.
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Well, you know, it's a very clever idea. It's kind of like, you know, there are bands out there who have these clever ideas for mashups, but you guys seriously nail it. Like some of these things are just fucking brilliant. Like, you know, For Whom Michelle Tolls and, you know, Leper Madonna is one of my favorite. You guys really have taken, you know, a clever idea and really run with it and really shown really ingenious stuff. So I think that's probably a big part of the longevity too. It's not just kind of like this gimmick, like kind of go like, oh yeah, that's funny. Like, no, it's got repeat value. It's really funny shit. I mean, that's not really a question. I'm just kind of just floating your boat. But,
But part of that is just the deep well of appreciation and love for hard rock and metal that we, you know, all of us share through our whole lives. So there's a lot to pull from, you know, and we've been in the scene now for all of our lives. So there's a lot of humorous shit that we've seen, you know, it's like, so.
And one of the things on how we approach mashup, it's not like you have one thing here and one thing here, and they just smash together and kind of go from one to another. Our songs are interwoven mashup. You know, it's not just it's more than just smashing two things together. You kind of have to know the riffs on both bands. It'll make it more fun, you know, and probably more interesting.
But we're also throwing in quotes of all kinds of bands, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And our own original material. That's the thing. It's like, you know, between the 4 of us in the band, I mean, we all play in our own original bands besides Beatallica. We all play in multiple different projects. So we're songwriting all the time. So when it comes down to compositions and creating music, in every song that we do, we have our own material in it. People have to discern what it is. Just like people have to discern, like, oh, wait a second, I think I recognize that riff kinda from something else, you know, and it becomes a little bit of a sleuthing game. But you know, you can bet on this next record that's coming out, there's original stuff on it, you know.
Yep.
Which is cool, and we dig that.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to jump in front of you, Rich, because we have a question from the comments. Actually, Mike Hare-Weber has been asking a bunch of stuff. He's been really cool here. He says, I love the song. I saw her thrashing there. What's the history of that song?
That is an anecdotal lyrical song of myself at a Merciful Fate show when I was a little kid. And, you know, I met the band, you know, I'm like 14, 15 years old or something like that.
Which Merciful Fate show was it?
The Don't Break the O show.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
I was there.
That's awesome.
Were you there?
Yeah. And met him at 1812 Overture and everything. We were probably at the record store together.
Probably. Probably.
Wow.
So I go to this show, and I mean, there isn't any girl that likes me, you know, or anything like that in high school or whatever. I'm the weird metal kid at a sports playing high school. You know what I mean? No one wants to hang out with me. So I go to this gig, and I got like this great little, like, kind of like VIP-ish sort of section, you know, that they kind of snuck me into. And, you know, I'm sitting there because you can't drink because I'm 15, you know, and I'm sitting in there and I'm like trying to watch this gig, and this girl sits down next to me or whatever, and I'm like, you know, yeah. So the story is about me and this brutal chick, and I think she was probably like 4 years older than me. You know, she probably could have killed me, you know. So it's sort of reminiscing about that event, you know. And on my wall, you can't see it right over here, I have my signed copy of Nuns Have No Fun and Don't Break the Oath
Oh wow,
right over here.
awesome.
Very
So, yeah.
cool. All right. Yeah. Thanks for the question, Mike Hare Weber. All right, Rich. What do you got?
So you guys, have some fun with metal bands in your lyrics. So tell us some of your favorite ones that you listen to, that you've been listening to. I mean, you went to go see Merciful Fate for Don't Break the Oath. So what's your history with metal bands, and who do you really like? Everybody, all three of you guys.
Yeah, why don't you guys start out?
Steve.
I just kind of was listening to Riot, Fire Down Under,
All right, dude.
which
Nice.
I'm a huge fan of that stuff, and you can hear their influences. Like you can hear that. I can't remember the main guitar player's name, but like you can hear that he was really into Montrose. You can hear it in his riffs and stuff, and and that singer was unbelievable. But like it was the like they had the worst luck in that band and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's why it was doomed to fail after how many years. But I just love that first one, 1980, or 82. It's 40 years old, and it's still ripping,
Yeah, for kind of a cool inside thing for us, Stu and I grew up together, basically.
Yeah.
So when we were growing up, we were seeing these bands come out for the first time, and hey, check out this Sad Wings of Destiny, Judas Priest.
Oh yeah.
We're like, what the fuck is that? That was my first metal concert. Well, Kiss is my first concert, but like I would say metal would be the Unleashed in the East tour when they opened up for Kiss.
And then on top of that, we're like learning that material at that time too, because we both wanted to, respectively play bass and guitar.
Yeah, but then Steve went out to the East Coast for a while. It comes back, hey, check out this band, Bad Brains. I'm like, oh, this is fucking incredible.
Bad Brains.
And then throughout that, it's like, hey, check out Bathory, or whatever, just on and on and on. Yeah, so it's super cool. It was super cool to see these bands, from the beginning, basically. Hey, what's this Slayer shit? This is scary. This is, and it's it ended up being Slayer. Like it could have easily just gone by the wayside, like thousands of bands did. It's like
like the Mentors.
Yeah.
I know the band I've been really grooving on a lot lately is Wolves in the Throne Room.
Don't know them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know them.
You should listen.
What I've been grooving on lately, it just came out. This is hilarious because I play lap steel as well. And a buddy of mine, Sean Williamson, is a lap steel player, and he's fucking great. He created a lap steel centered heavy metal band. It's fucking awesome, and it's called Velocihamster. So that record just came out. Check it out, people. It's like it's heavy, but it's this instrument associated with the original with Hawaiian music and then country music, and he's just ripping on it like heavy metal riffs and chunking, and it's fucking, and it's all everything you hear other than bass and drums is all lap steel. There's no fretted guitars at all. So I've just been grooving on that, and that's fucking awesome.
What was the band name again?
Velocihamster.
Velocihamster.
And that
he's getting a bunch of reviews, Blabbermouth and Metal Asylum, all that stuff. Check it out.
That Riot album was 1981, actually. Fire Down Under.
81. I knew it was around there.
Yeah, and the singer at the time, because they had a few, lineup changes, was Guy Speranza.
Yeah,
he was on that one. And then the two guitar players at the time was Mark Reel was there for a long time, and then the other guy was Rick Ventura. That was
I'm talking about Mark Reel.
Yeah,
it's Mark Reel. He definitely wrote most of those riffs, and then Guy Speranza. And a friend of mine from Long Island turned me on to that when I was out east, and I was like, "What is this?" There's actually hope for U.S. rock, because it was so kick-ass. So that's where I go with that.
Yeah, and for me too, I'm like, what comes to mind is I remember being at a buddy's house, and our local radio station at the time, WLPX, So we're broadcasting from our festival called Summerfest. It's been around forever. This band from England, and it was Iron Maiden. And I had no idea what this is.
Right.
I put a cassette in and hit record, and I recorded that whole set. And it's Clive Burr and Diano. It's just fucking great. It's the first tour, you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that. You know, I've actually since then I've become an audio engineer in a recording studio, and I've remastered the cassette. I found it's fucking great. It's awesome. So
is it recorded in mono? Was it mono?
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Yeah, because the original just sounded incredibly crappy, but it was just like, oh my god, so cool. And like you hear people you know in the audience. Iron Maiden.
So I mean, for us, we're fucking old enough to have seen this all metal happen in front of our eyes.
Yeah,
you know? So we have, like I was saying before, we have a wealth of stuff to. The well is very deep for us to draw from, you know, when we come to writing and whatnot.
But I would also say, like, at least for me, it's like the important thing as far as evolving as not only a player but a listener is that after I turned 30 years old, it's not like I stopped listening to new bands. You know, I just don't have like the 20 bands that I listen to, you know, and when it comes down to like a band like Wolves in the Throne Room, and they've been around, it's not like they're a new band, you know what I mean? But you know, another great band from overseas that I've been listening to is AFSKY, AFSKY. And if you're into that sort of, you know, death metal, black metal sort of scene, then you're gonna like those guys, you know. But I think it's important to not only love Merciful Fate, you know, and love Kiss and whatever your first rock bands were, but keep listening. You know?
Yeah.
You have to keep listening. If you don't, then it means you're eating the same 4 things in your diet every week, and you're watching the same shit on TV every week, and you're not expanding your ears, and you're reading the same bullshit and everything. You got to keep listening, you know.
Yeah. And you got to support the next generation too. That's even more important, you know, to carry on this music.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I love it when people say, "Oh, music sucks now." Like, yeah, you have to work a little bit to find it, but no, music doesn't suck now. It's not like, you know, in 1989.
No.
There's just more out there, and it's like everything is at your fingertips. You know, so you can find 2 million bands by hitting click. You know, you got to go through a number of things. You know, in some ways it's a help, in some ways it's a hindrance. You know,
right. So, all right. So I gotta ask. You know, I think you know what I really love about this kind of ties in with what we're talking about here. But one of the big questions I wanted to get to. I love that in your hands, you know, in your parody hands, that Metallica have kind of evolved into like this Manowar kind of poser hating guys. Like in so many of the songs, you guys just call out like posers and like, you know, kind of like, you don't actually say death to false metal, but like, you know, you call out, you make fun of Don Dokken and Kip Winger a little bit. Like
I was gonna say, Jack, don't bring in some of my hair bands there.
But
I know all about that song.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so tell me how that kind of came about, how it just Metallica ended up kind of turning it almost into Manowar, the way they talk shit about these other
well, part of the vocalizing characteristic should be a little bombastic in this band. You know, I mean, we walk this line, I think, between having to show and prove that we can play, but we never want to lose some of that over-the-top goofiness that goes along with it. I mean, we're guys in a band, you know what I mean? We want to have fun, you know? We think that we're fun dudes, you know? What's better fun than, you know, sticking it to Kip Winger, you know what I mean? Not much else,
well,
you know?
And the other thing to me, it's not so much today, I don't really see it as much, but back then there was definitely the camps. You know, you were a poser or you were a true metal guy, you know, and the posers were Poison, and you know, you all know who I'm talking, all those bands, you know, and So back then, when we were growing up, it was that, you know. So that's once again, it's a nod to the metal society and you know the scene or whatever. And then there's a lot of hilarious shit with that, you know. It's
like,
just like you know.
Exodus first album subject matter, you know. Lots of thrashing, kicking posers' asses, and
yeah, and that was a thing, you know.
A very you know, overdone James Hetfield voice.
Mm-hmm.
And
I can tell you though,
it just comes along with it.
One of the songs that we have yet to even start working on, the lyrical content of the song does deal with that sort of subject, but you have to remember that being a poser just doesn't mean you're in a hair metal band.
Yeah.
There are other sorts of posers out there in the world.
Yeah.
So that's getting addressed.
Awesome.
They're not safe. They're not safe anymore in the coming song. So
awesome.
Very nice.
Great.
Very nice. Cool. All right, Rich, what do you got?
You mentioned you guys are in other bands, so tell everybody about the bands you're in aside from Beatallica.
You guys want to start?
I also play in the band Realm, which is from Milwaukee, and we were signed to Roadrunner Records and toured a whole mess in the late 80s and 90s and did, you know, tons of stuff.
Realm as in Eleanor Rigby? Realm?
Yep. Yeah.
Very nice.
And yeah, our main guitar, like one of our main guitar players passed away 2 years ago, and we had kind of done a reunion show, and we're probably going to play Germany next year. And, you know, so that's still semi-active, you know, in some way. I also play in a band up here called the Wolf Council, which is more kind of like kind of doom hard rock, you know, not that doomy, but like it's pretty heavy. You know, we're tuned down to C, and you know, it's loud and just a 3-piece band. I also play in a long-time band up here called Dumpster Juice, which is Minneapolis kind of legendary band. It's kind of like a punk metal, you know, crossover band in a way, you know, and lots of comedy relief, but it's fun. Yes, I'm kind of busy doing that, but like none of those projects since COVID started, none of them have been doing anything. So like I've been just mainly focusing on Beatallica because they're still active. You know.
Yeah, for me,
that's me.
I was in a band, but at the time that I auditioned for Beatallica, I had been touring with a band called the Violent Femmes, who are from Milwaukee and the alternative, you know, rock scene, and so I was touring worldwide with those guys, and they took a break. That's when I auditioned for Beatallica. So since then, Beatallica has been my main band. Other than that, I'm not touring with the Femmes anymore either. You know, since then I've sat in with Uriah Heep. I've played with the singer of Styx. My local band here is where I'm playing lap steel is Camel Tow Truck, which is super fun, dirty blues, you know, trailer trash stuff, which is great. And then I also do pickup gigs on guitar, playing a lot of old school country stuff and guitar playing, wanking things and whatnot. But that said, though, Beatallica is my main band. It's just, you know, of all how the cards have fallen, you know, it's the most, I've been touring the most with them and doing the most work with them, and in between my schedule as well, you know, running a recording studio and being an audio engineer for the Milwaukee Bucks. So yeah, that's my thing. So.
And my other stuff is I play in a Celtic rock band called Riley, and that tours Midwestern region sorts of things. So yes, I have kilts and sporrans and cudgels and everything. You know, that involves no distortion. That band, though it's a Celtic rock band, but so it carries a full drummer. And then I do other acoustic stuff, acoustic trio stuff, Hills music, Americana-y sorts of things. So I did a solo record at Gerg's place when COVID was first starting, so we could isolate ourselves in the studio. So he was literally in one part of the studio, and I'm all the way in the other end part of the studio. We're the only ones there where everything's isolated. We ended up recording a whole record. So a lot of the stuff that I do isn't metal at all, and there's no distortion at all that's involved with it. And to me, that's part of the fun thing about being a musician, is trying to be well-rounded and keeping your ears open to other styles and playing other things, other instruments, ukulele, mandolin, 4-string banjo, penny whistle, bouzouki, for those of you guys who don't know what a bouzouki is. So that's part of the cool thing about playing, is don't play the same thing every day, again, then it goes back to you're eating the same thing every week and you're wearing the same clothes every, you know what I mean? So that whole idea again.
Well-rounded diet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well said. That's cool. Yeah. And I guess let's make sure that people know how to access all of your other stuff. I realize that, like you said, you're not doing a whole lot of live performances these days, but let's make sure that before we're done, that you make sure, give links and URLs and plug away.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, can we? I'm seeing these comments. Can we reply at all? I'm not seeing that option. But
yeah. Well, yeah. Well, a lot of these have come up here. Well, this is the latest question from Mike Hareweber, who said, "What are everybody's favorite Kiss song?"
Oh, there's so many.
And why is it not War Machine?
Yeah.
I'm adding that part. But
well, I'll go and then touch upon Steve and I's history. Steve called me up. This is in the 70s, and he's going up to this big stand-up bass that he just got for school.
Yeah.
And played Strutter.
Or
like,
Firehouse or one of those.
Yeah, it was one of those two. And he's like, check it out. So it's like literally, I've known
the
him
phone up to the bass and it's like
I think the first two songs I ever learned how to play on guitar was Get Away by Kiss. Super obscure Peter Criss song.
Yeah, that's from Dress to Kill, right?
Yeah, Dress to Kill, and then Love 'Em Leave 'Em was the song. So right on Kiss,
Yeah.
Very cool. So you guys are going to do a Kiss mashup band too?
Yeah, right.
I like the Paul Stanley Folgers
still my question now.
Was that your question?
I was going to say, if you guys could do another mashup, what would you do? If it wasn't Metallica and Beatles, what would you do instead?
Barry Manilow.
Barry Manilow?
Barry Manilow.
There's so many out there that you could do.
And do that all in multiple languages.
Right. Right.
We did it first, Manilow. We did it first.
Well,
I fight the world. That makes it anyway.
that is kind of an Eric Adams thing, that he sings at least one song in the native language of their country that they're in.
Yeah, that's great.
He's like the Klaus Meine of bad metal. Well, because Klaus does that too.
There's a band from Germany called JBO. All right, they're friends. Okay, so when we were touring over there with those guys, it was on their tour, and I would come out each night and sing a song in German with them.
Cool.
Translated to "It's a Good Day to Die," is the American translation of it. And then we did another song, lyrical performance song with these guys a couple years ago. So if you looked up JBO, just period B period O period, eine guten Tag zum Sterben it's a good day to die. And we would do that. That was like one of the last songs we would do every night. And so I'd go up there and try and remember like all the words, in German every night. And this is after playing and, having a few pops, you know what I mean? So it's like going up there, and their guitar players would just they'd be looking at me, and then just every now and then I'd screw something up and they would just die laughing. Because what I'm saying is probably translated as something completely nonsensical, you know what I mean? But it was super fun, super funny, So if you can look it up online and actually hear
It's awesome.
You with JBL singing this stuff, you know what I mean? So that's
cool.
right on German stuff right there. So
Nice.
Very cool. I want to hear Barry Man of War though. But sorry, just got to get back to that.
Yeah.
We had one other question from the comments was, will we ever see a return of the Heroes characters from your killer video?
Kegman, would you like to report on that?
Depends how much beer I have in me.
Kegman.
Being known
That's
as
right.
Kegman, it should be a lot.
Right.
We did a video for a song called Hero of the Day Tripper. And we were all superheroes within the song. Now, Mike Weber, who's been commenting, he directed the video.
Okay.
So Gerg was a character. I was a character. This is before Stu was in the band. But if you go to our page, Beatallica.org, for a URL plug, you can find all of our video stuff on there and new stuff too. But Hero of the Day Tripper is it's like a cartoon comic book sort of video. So it's super fun.
And also on there as well, there is an actual cartoon version of Beatallica that band did. That's pretty fucking amazing. For one of our Christmas tunes, we released a Christmas EP a while back.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Holiday for holiday. Yeah. So that's all.
Cool to see yourself in cartoon form.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, Rich, I stepped on you, so go ahead. We have probably about 7 to 10 minutes. I mean, we don't have kind of a soft deadline here, but Rich, why don't you go ahead? Next question.
Have you guys ever gone out and just done covers just to have fun, but not trying to do the Beatles or Metallica thing and just do covers?
Nope.
No.
We actually did on a tour with Oakley Dokley. We actually started to do a cover for some reason or another, which I don't remember what. We were doing Communication Breakdown, right? Right. That's my
every now and then we would just throw that in.
all soggled brain. Remember that, correct? Right? We did the few.
Yep.
I don't know why that happened.
It's because we did them for Spoof Fest. We did Zeppelin for Spoof Fest.
Oh, that's right. Okay, that's right. So yeah, then we're like, hey, let's throw in a Zeppelin tune just to totally fuck with people's heads. So, which is the only cover ever that Beatallica's ever done.
Is that
like if you
Unless
listen
you're at
to
sound check.
Yeah. Like if you go to Metallica shows, you're going to hear lyrical content that might not appear like on the Abbey Road record. When we did that record, there were licensing issues with changing the lyrics and mashing up the lyrics. So we had to please licensors in one way, but when you do a live gig, you can play what you want. So when people come out to see us live, they hear true lyrical content of Beatallica. So that's a good point. Just going back to like, what is a cover? What is not a cover? How is it arranged and things like that, you know?
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so I know you guys are going to shoot me down, but I'm going to ask anyway. Can you give any song titles or anything, any teasers of what's coming up on the next album?
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah, kind of no. I mean, to be honest, some of these titles are working titles.
Yeah, I would refrain from it right now since it's
You know what I mean? It's like
cleared.
yeah, I mean,
I get it.
we have songs that we know what we're calling them, but we probably know that even before that we go in and record vocal lines, that we're probably gonna be making some edits and some changes. So I could tell you a song title, but that might not even actually appear on a record, you know. And you know, even back when we were working with Olio, they would say the same thing. You 100% don't do anything until you get your full
Clearance.
you know what I mean? Because you just never know. I mean, there's an actual this actually happened now. We had the Masterful Mystery tour done. It was recorded, it was mixed, everything. We were touring in Poland at the time. We woke up and our tour manager is frantic. She's on the phone because Carl from Olio got a hold of her in Poland and says, I need to talk to the band right now because we have an album that's about to go to print, and the licensor for one song is now refusing to give us license to use a certain song title. And so we said, well, okay, well, I thought song titles were cool. You know, I thought it's just like, nope. It said like the way that they're using, like how the lyrical content is going along with the song title. They said they're going to look to pursue action if we don't change the song title. You have 30 seconds to tell me what the new song title is going to be. And because this album's going to print like today or something like that. So we had to come up with a song title on the spot in front of the tour vehicle. We hopped in the vehicle and went to Krakow. That was it. And we said, well, that's the name of the song, you know, and that song ended up becoming Running for Your Life, which we still do to this day. Now, we don't call it Running for Your Life, but that's what it had to be called. So that's the classic example of you think you have it done until it's actually out and done.
And that's the unique wrenches I was talking about this band that can suddenly pop up. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Everything was totally cool and cleared, and they changed their mind.
Wow. Well, it's amazing. Like you said at the top of the show that Weird Al doesn't have to deal with this. It's completely unique to some like the kind of thing you're doing. It's interesting.
Yep. It's a lawyer's nightmare.
Oh, is that the title of the next album?
Yeah.
All night long.
See, that's genius here. See,
right?
All right. Well, Rich, I mean, we probably only have time for one more question. I will say thank you guys so much. Here, we got this stuff. Yeah. So thank you guys so much. Rich, why don't you take us out with the final question, and then maybe you guys can just end it with some plugs and some words of wisdom, and
that was going to be my. That was what I was going to say. Let them take us out on what they want to talk about, what they got coming up to look forward to in 2021, and whatever plugs you want to make. Go ahead.
Cool. Well, I'll start.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you can catch up with me on the Beatallica sites as well, and then my production side and the other side of my life is hamtoneaudio.com. Like I was saying, check out my buddy's band, Velasa Hamster, Killer Lap Steel Metal, which has never been done before. So, and check those sites for upcoming news and things that are going on. And keep the faith. We'll be out there soon.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, when I'm not playing with these guys, I'll probably be out like riding my bike somewhere. So, yeah, I'll see you on the trail. So
happy trails.
Yeah, the best way to follow us, you know, as far as the socials go, you know, I mean, it's facebook.com/Beatallica. So that one's ezy. Instagram is Beatallica Band because someone already took Beatallica when we signed up for Instagram. You know, I don't know who this person is, but they have it. So we're Beatallica Band. We're also on Twitter is Beatallica. Beatallica.org. But the .com will get you there, you know. But yeah, I mean, there's stuff cooking and percolating and all that sort of thing. So we just encourage you to keep in touch. And for those of you who have, especially with the Metal Assault Records news, so thanks for starting and following us. You know, you can check out the Metal Assault Records site too, because they're going to have they'll have a band camp up for us, and they'll have all roster news and stuff on Metal Assault. You know, so that's a good way to find out what's going on with us too. And Mike Hareweber says check out Beatallicast, Beatallicast on Facebook, and that has different episodes and weirdness as produced by Mike Hareweber. So
behind the scenes tour footage and
yes.
All right. Well, very cool. I'm going to actually extend this. It's going to become like the Return of the King of things. I'm going to ask. Actually, on the way out, why don't the three of you guys tell people out there who maybe still haven't heard you, what are some songs that are good starts? Like, for example, I would say Leper Madonna is probably my favorite. That's great stuff. So why don't you guys just take us out? Just
For
tell
me,
people.
like what I think is a great example of us is Hero of the Day, Tripper. Just you'll get what we're all about on that. You know, it sounds like that one riff, but it's not, and it sounds like that other riff, but it's not. You know, so I like that one. There's the silly video, but I mean, they're all super fun. And, you know, if you know the Beatles and Metallica, you'll totally get it.
Yeah, as far as you know, past material, I mean, some of my favorite stuff to play is probably Fuel on the Hill. We have a video for that. Stuff off the Abbey Road record. I mean, yeah, if you listen to our version of Michelle and what we're doing with that live, it's For Whom Michelle Tolls. You know, so that's a good example. You know, those two, just off the top of my head, you know what I mean? Those two, I would say. And when are we coming back to the East Coast? As soon as effing possible, because because we do love Philly and New York and New Jersey, and we know that there's others that have been asking. So yes to Chris, yes,
Yeah.
we're coming back as soon as this gets all straightened out.
Right.
Cool.
Yep.
All right, so Stu, what's your faves, man?
I kind of have 2 or 3. I really kind of dig And I'm Evil is one of my favorites. Four Horsemen for sure.
Yeah, that's great.
And
Which was the first Beatallica mashup ever created by
yeah,
was
yep.
Oh no.
I actually got to look because like I have a bunch of set lists sitting around here, but like they're only
On cardboard?
and I forget like the full. I gotta,
the
you know, I gotta cheat. Oh yeah, and Justice for All My Loving. I really like that too because I get to do the Paul McCartney like walking bass part, and I've just started doing that instead of just the regular chugging guitar.
Yeah,
But yeah, it sounds really cool.
right on.
Yeah, and it has to check out Steve's band Realm, the classic fucking awesome fucking band.
What is it? Realm.name is the website.
So it is.
I think it's realm.name, but I'm not sure if the website has been maintained in quite a while. So we'll see. Right.
Very cool. All right. Well, we've tied you guys up long enough. Thank you guys so much. Thank you out there for watching.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for coming on.
Awesome.
All right,
everyone.
Cheers, man.
Take care.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks.
Yep.
And we're